My name is Colleen, and I'd like to welcome you to our channel and let you know that we are preparing ourselves for retirement in this time that we're facing right now with the virus is giving us some time to concentrate on a few things that we may want to share. No, we do want to share with other people. Our experiences, particularly right now around food security, the things that we can do to make our pantries go a long way, and maybe to help you learn some skills around canning and preserving that you didn't have before. It won't be the only thing that we share over time, but it will be how we start out. So I hope that you will hang in there with us while we learn about lighting and all the things that are required to make a video that you can view. In the meantime, please stay with us and let us know how you feel about the content that we're sharing at this time. Thanks a lot. I'll see you in a moment. Hello everyone and welcome to our channel. Today I thought, with this crazy time that we're living in, that perhaps some of you could use some of our old-fashioned blends and mixes and fixes that we would have used many years ago before we could buy those convenient little packages in the store that gave us flavoring for all kinds of different things. So today I'm going to do a few different ones, and I hope that you find them useful. I know that our cupboards are starting to wear down, and that perhaps this would be a good time to learn some of these skills. So the first blend that we're going to put together is a homemade coating. It would be similar to the shake and bake style chicken one, but that's not what it is. This is a homemade one. So we're going to just jump right in. We're going to begin this with 3 cups of any kind of breadcrumbs that you normally use. Maybe you could make your own homemade ones, but everybody is taking great precautions not to waste anything at this time. So I don't imagine that you have any extra bread kicking around that you could just let dry out. So we're going to start with 3 cups of breadcrumbs. Just like that. Then we're going to move to 1.5 teaspoons of regular white salt. Now you can adjust these seasonings any way you like. If you didn't want it quite as salty, you can certainly reduce the salt in it. So we're going to go 1.5. And next we're going to put in some onion powder. Now onion powder, we need quite a bit of onion powder. We're going to put in 2 tablespoons. Whoa. And that's why you should never measure over the bowl, always to the side. So I'm just going to add just a little bit more because I think that was, ample and sufficient. 2 teaspoons of paprika go in next. And this could be another one that could get away on me. I imagine that has happened to everybody at some point in their cooking time. 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Now these can be used, this recipe can be used for chicken or beef or pork or whatever you like. You can add different things to it if it pleases you to do so. We're going to add to this 1 teaspoon of parsley. And you can see I'm kind of being generous with some of it, but that's okay. I'm just going to put these aside. Now we're going to add some garlic powder to the mix. I think we need 1, there we go, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Again, being probably a little generous with it. Actually, in fact, maybe I'll add a little bit more than that. We do tend to like garlic around our house. Now a bit of black pepper, maybe, I don't know, 1 teaspoonful. Some people don't like black pepper that much, but we'll dump it in there and see where we go. Now, I'm going to try and tidy up as I go along a little bit, because this won't do us any good if everything's in our way. In this bowl now, we've got all of the ingredients that we need. I'm just going to give this a good stir. Oh, I got the pepper. We're going to just give this a good stir, and I mean a really good stir. So some people would at this point add to their mix about 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. It just moistens it a little bit and helps it to stick in a bigger, I don't want to say lumps, but bigger amounts onto the food that you're preparing. But if you're finding it's not sticking, then maybe you just need to give it a quick rinse with water or just brush a little oil on it. I choose not to put oil in at this stage because I've found that we maybe not go through it as quickly as the oil would go rancid. All these other things will hold for quite a while, and as you can see, it makes quite a big amount. And I'm just going to store it in a clear glass jar. I got myself a little funnel to make the job a little easier. Let's hope that the funnel is enough to help me get it all inside the jar. And there you go. We have enough shake and make or coating mix made for quite a number of applications. You just use it as you regularly would your baking mixes for the oven, and put it into a plastic bag, shake it around onto the tray, into the oven. And it's nice to have that on your shelf for times like right now. I'll be back in a moment with our next mix. Okay, here I am back with the cream soup base. There's a lot of recipes that we could make that require either cream of chicken, cream of mushroom, or cream of celery soup. And we don't always have those cans of soup mix on hand. So here's a mix that you can make and store in your cupboard that you can have for any time that you need it. So it starts off with kind of an unusual ingredient that you might not have in your pantry, but you could certainly find it at the local store. And there are lots of recipes that or mixes that do require this, so it wouldn't be a bad thing to have on hand at any rate. I managed to pick some up locally at one of our grocery stores, and this is some skimmed powdered milk. And in this recipe, we're going to need 2 cups of powdered milk. It's kind of an odd, old-fashioned one for sure. It used to be in years gone by that everybody had powdered milk. In fact, there used to be a company that came around that sold you kind of this kit. You got a kitchen mixer and a lifetime supply, it felt like, of powdered milk. Now, it convinced many mums in the valley that they should be feeding their kids powdered milk. It didn't convince many of the kids that they should be drinking it, but it was a way that the mums could get the new mixing machine for their kitchen and have a ready supply of powdered milk. So I'm putting 2 cups of powdered milk into the bowl, and I'm going to add 1.5 cups of cornstarch to this mixture. Now this just helps to thicken the product up when you cook it. Let's grab a spoon. So 1.5 cups of cornstarch. You could do less if you find that this is too thick, but I find that most of the recipes that I use, really this is just right for. So there's 1 cup and just a half. I'm just going to kind of eyeball this one. There you go. Now powder all over the kitchen. Next into this, we're going to put a half a cup of chicken bouillon. And this is one of the things that I discovered is that not all chicken bouillon is equal. So while I was looking a couple of years ago for chicken bouillon, one of the things I discovered was that one of the top brands that you can get in small packages has MSG in it, which is fine for us because neither of us have allergies to it. But if you were sensitive at all to MSG, this might not be the product for you. Just keep looking. You're going to be able to find something eventually that will not have MSG in it. There are all kinds of other things in here as well. So you really have to be careful and look hard for a product that's going to work for you. So this requires a half a cup of chicken bouillon. Now this is kind of the base. From here you could add, I guess, use vegetable bouillon or beef bouillon if you wanted to go that way with it. But today we're concentrating on the chicken bouillon so that we can use it in multiple applications. We're going to add some onion powder, maybe just 2 teaspoons. Whoop! And again, shouldn't measure over the bowl. It's kind of a sketchy thing to do. And lastly, just a teaspoon of thyme. I needed to open this one apparently. How many of you use thyme very much? I think I've only gone through maybe 2 of these in the last 10 years. This, just a teaspoon of thyme. There we go. Now we're going to stir this up. We can add some black pepper to this too. Let me get some. And I'm just going to actually wing it and go about a half a teaspoon of black pepper. I think that's all the ingredients in here. Now we're going to give this a good stir. If you had dehydrated chicken or mushrooms, or what would be the other thing that you could use? Celery. So you could add celery seed to this right now. If it was crushed, then by all means you could divide this up and put the chicken in, dehydrated chicken in part of it, and so forth. But I am just going to leave it multi-use. Many of the recipes that I use, I don't need to have the chicken in or whatever. I like to have that freedom to do what I like. Now I think I've got a good stir on this. Although when I went to use this out of the bottle, I would give it a good shake first before I started to use it. We're just going to go through the same process as before. We try and get it all in the bottle. Here we go. Oh, we didn't completely succeed, but not too bad an effort. There you have it. Now, what I would do at this point, after I got the lid on, is I would mark the jar to say that you needed 1/3 of a cup of this mix, along with 1 1/4 cups of water, or you could add chicken stock, but I don't think that you need to. And just put it in a small pot on the stove with your mix inside and stirring it pretty constantly because of the cornstarch. It will bring you the desired mixture that you need to substitute for some of those casseroles and recipes that call for it. After you've tried it a few times, I'm sure that you can think of lots of ways that you could use this. And I hope this has been helpful to you. And I will be back in a minute with another mix that you might find helpful. Toodaloo! And here I am back with blend number 3, I think, if I haven't lost track. So this is probably, of all the blends that we make, this is my favorite by far. This is our ranch dressing mix. And it is absolutely delicious made homemade. It's hard to justify buying it in the store after you've made it homemade. So it starts off with that milk, the powdered milk that we used earlier. And we need half a cup of powdered milk. We need 1 teaspoon of dill wheat. I hope these are things that most of you have in your kitchens, but if not, you can certainly build up your supply. I'm trying to move to, the better quality ones, but I still have plenty of the others that I just picked up, at the dollar store or bargain store or someplace like that, so that you can get your spices cupboard started. So 1 teaspoon of dill wheat. We're going to go with a half a teaspoon of celery salt. Now, the recipe calls for celery salt plus salt, and I just found that was too much. So I'm going to switch it up, and I'm just going to do a half a teaspoon of celery salt, which will take care of both of those things. Whoops, too many jars. Getting the lids all screwed up. I hope you guys are all doing well during this time. It has been quite a difficult adjustment for a lot of us. So I hope that you guys are staying safe and well, and that some of the things that we're preparing to do can help you through this time with a little more ease. I'm going to add some garlic to this, 1 teaspoon of garlic. We've never done anything like this before, but there you go. And we just thought if we could help you guys out along the way, then that was something that we were prepared to do. Undehydrated onions, or minced onions, I'm going to add a teaspoon of that as well. Maybe a little truer teaspoon than that one. And also a teaspoon of onion powder. And last but not least, over on the counter out of my reach again, a little bit of black pepper. And I guess it's not the last thing, actually, when I look at what I have on my counter here yet. I'm just going to go with a half a teaspoon of black pepper. And I'm going to put some parsley in here. I think about 2 tablespoons. Get the right spoon. Now, for many years I thought that 2 teaspoons equaled a tablespoon, but you know what, that's not true. It's a little more than that. So you can get a lot of silver hair and still not have all the answers, apparently. And now last, I'm going to put in about half to a full teaspoon of brown sugar. I'm just going to heap up this little fella here and the lid on. Now, give her a good stir, and as with all of them, you want to stir them really well. And this one, because we've got the brown sugar in there, it may be, there may be a few lumps in it. You want to mix it till the lumps are all gone. And always try and leave enough room in the jar that when you go to get it out of the cupboard to use it, you can actually give it a really good shake so that all the ingredients mix together. There is no way to keep them from settling a little bit, but if you give them a good shake, you're well on your way. Try to mark all your jars. Maybe you can just put a little sticky thing on the top, or as I have, I write on the snap lids and write what I need to use, what the mix is, and what I need to add to it to bring it all together. Let's go back to the funnel because I don't trust myself here at all. Now, when you go to use this mix, you use 2 heaping tablespoons of this mix. Right here, with 1 cup of mayonnaise and 1 cup of buttermilk. Now, some of you may not consider buttermilk or may not have buttermilk regularly in your kitchen. Although a lot of my recipes that I use has buttermilk in it, and I do enjoy drinking it, but not a lot of people do, so I would understand. What you can do in place of the buttermilk is to use, I would say, 1 teaspoon of lemon juice or white vinegar, put it into the bottom of a 1 cup measure, a fluid measure, and then add to that, bring it up to the line for 1 cup. The lemon juice or vinegar will, they call it souring the milk. It doesn't really sour it, but it causes it to be adjusted, and it's just a good substitute for buttermilk. So you mix those things all together, put them in a container in your fridge that's tight. You'll be surprised how fast you go through it because it is delicious. So I hope that that will help you out somewhat. And the last in this particular group of items that I would like to share with you today are the Oshu mix. Now, this is something that it's a basic gravy really that we add to our roast beef, and you could also use it for beef dips. The trick is to finding some kind of beef bouillon that isn't in tiny little packets that you have to open the little packets and dump a whole bunch in to make the amount that you want. Now, I did find this locally. I haven't used it yet, but it smells good and it tastes good out of the container. This one does not contain MSG. I'll just double check. No, which is a good thing. This recipe requires 4 tablespoons of beef bouillon, and it's, like I said, it's another one of those things that you've got to try and find the best quality you can that contains ingredients that are helpful for you. 2, and I shouldn't be talking and trying to count because I'm not that good at it. 4. Now, next into this, I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of cornstarch. This will help it to thicken. There we go. And I'm probably not going to add any more salt to this because I've found this to be salty, this mix, when I just put it on my tongue. So I wouldn't add any more salt to this, but that would be your decision to make. You could add a little more salt, or you could just wait and taste it and try that out and see how that works for you. 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, which comes out really quick, so I'm trying to be careful. 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, which once again is out of my reach. Oh boy. So be interested to know what kinds of things you guys have been doing in your homes to pass the time. My husband and I have put together some jigsaw puzzles and played some cards, and it seems like we've watched an endless number of series on the TV, and had lots of long walks, which is also a really great thing. Whoops. Getting a little ahead of myself here. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of parsley. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of parsley. So that's not quite one of their big measures. Okay, and then the last thing to go in there is 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. Onion powder. There we go. Did I put that in there already? Ooh, I hope not. There. I've got the salt here on the cupboard, on the counter, but I am not going to use it because, like I said, I think that's good enough the way it is. I'm just going to give this the same method. Just give it a really good stir. The onion for the soup base mix has a bit of oil in it, and you'll notice that when you go to mix it in because it's kind of it tends to be a little clumpy. So take your time and work the cornstarch and the spices into the mix really well. There. I'm satisfied with the way that looks. I'm going to pour this into a small jar, make sure I label it, and then you can just use it accordingly. Like to make 1 cup of au jus takes 4 teaspoons of the seasoning mix and 1 cup of water. So mix the seasoning mix into the water, stir it really well, and then pour it into your pan or into your beef and allow it to thicken and flavor it that way. I hope that you've enjoyed these mixes and blends, and that if you have, you will like our video and look forward to things that we're going to do here in the future that involve not just the kitchen, but the way that we live our lives. We are close to retirement and we are looking for new things to keep us busy, which we've just realized we're going to have to, after being in forced confinement for the past 30 days, that we're going to have to find some things to amuse ourselves as we move into this retirement. So we've often talked about having a YouTube channel where we could share some of our skills. And when I say we, I mean mostly me. My husband Gino won't be joining me very much on this side of the camera, but he's definitely rooting me on from behind and helping me to be hopefully really successful. So I appreciate all your likes. Consider subscribing to the channel and look for more of this kind of content coming in the future. That's all for today. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.